So you want to get into tabletop role-playing games, but you aren't sure how. You've seen Critical Role, you've maybe even played some D&D yourself, and maybe you've even read one of your friends' indie tabletop role-playing games. And now you think that you would also like to do that. You want to make a game, or even just a pretty book, or you just love to write for someone else's book. I can't promise that by the end of a single video that you'll have the ability to make the book that you want to make, or that you'll have jobs lined up to write for or draw for, or whatever your skill set happens to be. A while ago, I made a video about climbing the mountain, which is a metaphor that I stole from this amazing GDC talk. It likened the art scene that you're in, whichever it may be, to a mountain that everyone else in the scene is trying to climb and find stability or even success. It's a rather simple concept to get your mind around. You should watch that video. So I can't promise you success, but what I can do is sit down and tell you how I got where I am, the steps I took, the paths that I've taken up this mountain, a lot of which might not work for you, but that's okay. Everyone has their own path and everyone has their own pace. In this video, I'm going to give you just 5 tips for getting started in the tabletop role-playing game scene. First and foremost, in college, a professor sat me down for a one-on-one review of some of my short stories. She was doing this with every student just to talk about individual strengths and weaknesses. I remember she said to me, "You know you have the skill to write, but you need to figure out if this is what you want for the rest of your life." It was an honest question to pose to me because it defined my path forward after college. But what she was getting at was more asking me what effort I could mentally afford to put into a writing career. Even though I am a writer and always wanted to be a writer, I knew I couldn't go the traditional route. It just wasn't for me. So I decided to write in my spare time and literally just hope that something would come from it. In choosing that path, I worked as a garbage man, I worked at a FedEx fulfillment facility for a little bit, and lastly, I worked at a logistics company, which means I sat in an office, answered emails, answered phone calls, and talked to angry customers all day, every day, for a long time. Some would say that those 3 jobs in particular primed me perfectly for this field that I find myself in now, but the point is that there was never any guarantee. And that's the hardest part about any of this, is trying to figure out how much you can put into it. Because if there are no guarantees, if you are giving your all, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find success. Before I found myself in this career I am in right now, I couldn't not think about Dungeons and Dragons. No matter what I did, I was always thinking about either my current campaign or a future campaign, or I was watching things and trying to steal things for my games. Like I had found something that my brain just wouldn't let go of. And I think others in the field and even in other artistic fields probably know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just find that thing that hooks you and never lets go. Here's some games that I worked on, by the way, just in case you want some credentials.
Hey, this man just, I don't want to do this no more.
I know, trust me, I know what you're already saying. It's hard. I don't have time. I don't know how to finish any of the projects that I start. But here is a secret. We all feel that way. Sometimes we break the habits, most of the times we don't, but being creative is a skill, just like any trade job that you would get schooling for or any other work for that matter, which means time and practice are required to make it not feel so alien all the time. This is totally normal. You are not feeling anything out of the ordinary. In fact, things it's okay to do, suck, fail, not finish things. This is the life of a creative. And I don't really care how old you are. It's never too late to start. Life it's rather long. If you start today, in 5 years from now, you'll look back on this moment and think, damn, I'm really good at this now. You gotta just sit down and write like even just 100 words, 500 words if you're feeling frisky. Eventually you will just get better. You will just get better. What you can do is open Google Docs, set a timer for 10 minutes and just stare at the blank screen. You don't even need to do the writing part yet. Just stare at it. It's all part of the process. These things take time more than anything else. Your process will change and develop over years. If the idea of years is terrifying, good. Your life is precious and your time is precious and worth spending how you want. But in the end, there are no shortcuts to this. The person you're looking at on the screen, used to buy tons of writing books, writing guides, script doctor books, writing tip books, etc. I used to buy them all the time. So many. I'm going to do the hard work right now. Editor me is going to do the hard work right now and go dig through my Amazon orders from like way back when I went to college and list them up on the screen right now. Maybe you can find in there something that I don't remember finding, and maybe they can help you. But even then, I don't consider that a shortcut. Reading is part of the work. Sometimes creating is the end result, and to get there, you have to go through so many other steps to even get to the point where you start the typing. And if you're at the writing part, let me know if you want me to talk about different writing exercises that I either was shown in school or learned after school or whatever. I could probably make a video on those and maybe they will help you. Hey, everybody. Today's video is brought to you by me. I'm sponsoring this video. So I'm running a pre-order campaign right now. You can see it here. It's for the Wizards in the Waste. All new layout, all new art, all new everything. Go check it out. We're already funded. We're already going to get it printed, but there are still copies that you can pick up. Additional money that goes over the funding mark is going to let me reprint some of my other stuff, like My Body is a Cage, Dungeon, and other things. So yeah, I'm going to stop recording now.
The world wasn't the only thing that changed on September 11th.
I am not a very social person. I mean, the only way that I'm able to do this right now is because there is a camera here and I'm not talking in front of you personally or an audience. What I'm trying to say is when it comes to monetizing your hobby, that means interacting with people. It's very hard to disappear behind the curtain of anonymity and release things without the backing of a publisher with a marketing budget. What you can do, what helped me at least, is that even if you are super shy and uncomfortable like me, is just start sharing your process. Productivity YouTuber Ali Abdaal talked about how he started a blog to detail his process through med school a long time ago. He talks about it in this video, and in that video he shares that he got the idea from this book. I'm gonna throw that away now. I think I broke something. Watch this video. It's kind of what helped me get through the initial hurdle of thinking about community and thinking about sharing your stuff online, especially as an artist, especially as a shy person. I'm sure some of the people watching this have had the same sort of discussions and problems that are answered or at least discussed and given even solutions to in this video. All you have to do is start following creators that you like, creators who are doing the things that you enjoy, and then just start sharing your own process. You got screenshots, you can share art, you can share layout. There's so many steps along the way that, especially as somebody who is new like you to this, can share and lend new insights to that maybe somebody like me who's been doing it for a little bit now has forgotten about. You start just by getting your ideas out there. You start by sharing your process. Even if you don't know what your process is, sharing it might help you figure it out. And even if it doesn't necessarily help you figure it out, it couldn't hurt.
And I'm still a piece of garbage.
This too, like the writing advice, will take time, and it just takes time. It takes time to find the people. It takes time for the people to find you. But if you start now, I mean, that time gets increasingly shorter the earlier you start.
I call it bold and bright. More like belongs in the trash.
I hope this title card scares you because this is my favorite part. You are going to make something. I am giving you permission and order to make a book right now. And here, I'll make it easier for you. Here's a dungeon. You can go to this itch.io page and you can randomly generate dungeons that are free to use commercially. You can generate hundreds, you could generate one, you could generate 10. All you have to do is number the rooms, put those numbers onto a piece of paper, and then put something next to each of those numbers. It doesn't matter if all you write is wolves next to number 3. That's something, and you can always flesh it out later. You don't have to be some sort of auteur or a genius or even like the most creative person in the world. All you're really trying to do is make things that somebody else could use. My first thing I ever did on Reddit that got me any sort of notoriety was filling in a dungeon map from Dyson Logos. And that was just me sitting with somebody else's map and putting things into the room, just like this. You can do the same. But there are tons of people who've been creating things for folks like me and folks like you to use commercially in your own projects. There are people collecting public domain art that's cool. There are people making map generators, other generators. There are people drawing weird creatures and NPCs and putting them up on Patreon. There's a lot out there that you can lend your writing voice to. and it's waiting for you. It's waiting to be used. It's waiting to be made even more useful by you turning it into something gameable. This is about you having something in your hand that you created. We can get these ideas in our head that we have to make some sort of like big, grandiose book, something filled with art that's like huge, but that's just not possible for most creators. Those kinds of projects take a lot of money, but we can still make useful, original, and unique content for people to use in their games, and we can make it right now without any money, freely. So jump in, become part of the conversation, create your first thing. One shot. What's the point? How do you actually break in? How do you actually start making money, especially if you don't have an audience yet? Well, that's the great thing that I think differentiates the tabletop sphere from like other writing disciplines. There are shops willing to buy, nay, looking to buy indie tabletop stuff to sell. Here's a handful of them. Right now, I'm just gonna put them on the screen. They all have emails that you can reach them at. They all have Twitters for you to follow, but these are people that you can pitch to. Pitching is going to become part of your job. It may be the hardest part to really nail down, but if you want funding, you gotta pitch stuff. A Kickstarter page is a pitch. A pre-order page is a pitch. You want to sell your stuff? A product page is a pitch. But regardless, selling things to shops is a path to gaining more notoriety. Shops share your stuff, and then you can share the shop stuff. More importantly though, and the point of this video is, it's how you can start getting paid.
There's only one thing better than owning a vault full of cold hard cash, and that's swimming in it.
Maybe not a lot, let's face it, this is just one dungeon that you made here. Maybe you want to put a couple of these together and make it more of a zine. Maybe you want to work with your friends and put all your work together and make a little bit of a bigger book. Maybe you just want to work together with your friends so you can do some like work trades to get more professional layout, or maybe some editing, things like that. There are a lot of other disciplines within the creation of a zine that help your product stand out. But again, that's a list for another video. Your first one might not sell, your second one might not sell. Like I said, there are no guarantees. But unlike in a lot of other fields, in tabletop, we have stores run by indie creators, run by individuals, small teams who are looking to buy books so they can sell them to their customers. We sort of have these pre-established avenues that can get you a little bit further up the mountain. If this video was interesting to you, if you want me to expand on any one thing or another, there's a couple ideas that I listed through the video. Just let me know in the comments. I have been full-time for a little over a year, and I want to start sharing my process with you so that people like me, you know, the shy ones out there, or even just the people who aren't sure where to start, can start. I want to show you that yes, even you can do this. So until next time, let me know what you're writing. Take care.